So now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome today's first speaker, Peter McKay, Executive Vice President with Ipsos User Experience. Peter, you have the floor.
Thanks, Ellen. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. First of all, I have to give you an apology because our webinar platform has disabled the cameras, so you weren't able to see our smiling faces throughout this presentation. Sorry about that. I know it's probably more engaging if you can see the presenter, but unfortunately we're not able to do that today. So first, before we get into talking about the actual benchmark data that we've collected, I thought it would be good to just spend a couple of minutes on things that are probably already very obvious to you. And that is the answers to the questions of why UX is important to begin with. UX has a significant impact on users' likelihood to use a digital website or app or product. A couple of statistics here. 88% of consumers are less likely to return to a site with bad UX. That's just remarkable that that kind of a bad experience can drive away almost 9 out of 10 people. 45% have switched companies due to a poor online experience. And this is important because they're not just leaving the website or the app, they're actually leaving the portfolio, the brand, entirely. And 98% of users have stopped using an app due to poor performance. So clearly, there's an opportunity for enhancing user experience and keeping people engaged and making sure that they end up completing what you are intending that they complete. So how do we do that? What we'd like to spend the rest of the time sharing with you is data that we've collected through our UX score framework that highlights the highs and the lows, the winners and the losers in terms of user experience. And just a little bit of background on the UX score. It measures 3 components of the experience. Unlike SUS and some other metrics in the space, we go beyond usability. Usability is a component of it, but it's also supplemented by design appeal and relevance. And just a couple of points about that. Design appeal, what we mean by that, it's pretty obvious. Is it pleasing to the eye? Is it in a style that is engaging and that people want to spend time with? Does it have design elements? And are those elements presented in a pleasing way so that the presentation is a positive experience for people? So design appeal is important. Usability, obviously important, but within usability, there's 2 elements to it. It's both learnability and operability. So learnability, is it easy for users to learn and understand how to use? And operability, does it provide those features in a way that are frictionless and intuitive? And then last, and as you'll see later on, very importantly, is relevance. Relevance is also, there's also 2 components to that. One is, does the experience have the features and the functions that you need and want as a user of that experience? And secondly, does it provide those features in an inspiring way? Does it reflect both you as a user and the brand itself that causes you to want to spend more time, and it causes you to feel positively towards that brand? So those 3 components all roll up into a single UX score. And that UX score has been, we've validated, it's been proven to be highly correlated with NPS and is also effective in predicting brand equity impact. So what we'd like to do, first, before I go there, what we did for this study is, or not study, but this effort, multiple studies. Actually, also, I should mention some of the data within this is proprietary data that we've collected on behalf of our clients. And part of it is data that we've gone out and collected ourselves. But in total, we've talked to over 2,000 participants. We've evaluated 125 websites and apps across 14 sectors. You can see the sectors named there, from video streaming, grocery delivery, healthcare, consumer electronics, messaging, and on and on. And so a very robust selection of both websites and sectors that we've been able to draw upon to share the results of with you today. So what I'd like to do now is hand this over to my colleague Ying, who is going to take you through more details on the actual results of this effort. Ying?
Thanks, Peter. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. As Peter mentioned, that we have launched the benchmark study, multiple studies, and collected data over a year. So now it is an exciting moment to share our findings with you. So the chart on the screen shows the distribution of all the UX scores from all the 125 websites or apps smoothed by a model. As you see, the green line, it's a secret line. That's the overall UX score aggregated by the 3 dimensions, design appeal, usability, and relevance. Overall, we found out that design appeal across industries, across brands, they are the highest among all. Usability following after, also high, but relevance was scored low across all sectors and brands consistently. Okay. And this page shows us that we definitely see some industry sectors doing better than others. They are the video streaming industry, music streaming industry, and consumer electronics. In these 3 sectors, we found the most brands are over the 50 percentile. That's the median across all the brands we tested. So surprisingly, streaming industry, encompassing both the video streaming and the music streaming, excel across the sectors. 10 streaming platforms we tested are ranked in the top 25. So as you see in the table, there is a small portion of the brands we tested among the 125 come from paid client studies. They were marked confidential in this table. As you see, many of them are also ranked in the top 25. Many other industries have their UX scores distributed in a wide span, from the low scores under 25 percentile, and also the good ones over 70, ranked over the 75 percentile. Those industries including brand apparel such as Lululemon, Adidas, many of others, the e-commerce marketplace such as Amazon, eBay, Etsy, food delivery, we are familiar with them like Uber Eats, Grubhub, quick service restaurant, KFC, McDonald's, Wendy's, and also grocery delivery such as Instacart. Next, please. We also see some underperforming sectors have been consistently rated low. This including the healthcare industry, employment, and travel. Healthcare, we tested both brand websites and also service transactional websites. Employment include LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, Indeed. Travel, we included Kayak, Expedia, Booking.com, and so on. Next, please. So the question is, what made the difference between these sectors and brands? Next, we want to share more details coming from our qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis in this study to summarize what to do or not to do to avoid getting a lower UX user experience, or what do you do to improve your user experience. So first, let's look at the design appeal. So similar to the overall UX score, here we showed you selected sectors, selected industry sectors to compare their design appeal. As you see, video streaming, music streaming, and consumer electronics are still high across all. But the underperformed ones, we found out that actually healthcare and travel, although their scores are not, their design appeal score is not as high as the top ones, but they got an improvement comparing to their overall score. So that means healthcare and travel are getting better design appeal comparing to the overall UX experience, user experience. Another thing interesting is the e-commerce marketplace representing platforms like Amazon, eBay. They have relatively lower design appeal comparing to their overall UX score. Next, please. So the best in-class sites, like we just mentioned, the movie and video and the music streaming industries and consumer electronic brands, as well as the enhanced design appeal in the underperforming sectors like healthcare and travel, suggested that using a variety of media types like videos, images, sound, product presentation, and context, as well as tone and style on the website and app is an essential thing for website to appeal targeted users. So for example, engaging videos can capture user attention, even if sometimes those videos are not directly related to the original intent for the visitors to the websites or apps. For example, we have a participant commented Patagonia. That video makes me want to look at this, even though I know I don't like these types of flip pullovers. Next, please. Having a variety of medias doesn't mean put as many as you can. So those medias have to be used efficiently. The rule of thumb is to make sure your design is helping users to better understand and find three things. Number one, choices, options on the website. Number two, the interactions they can do with the website. And the third thing, important or related content there. So if the design is not going to help users understand and find above three things, it may not be an efficient design. So some examples, one is the icons to highlight menu options. This is something the food delivery sector often use, which help the users to quickly understand what options on the app they have. For example, we have a participant commented, Postmates, yay, that's all I want, a sushi button. It's a very interesting design in this industry. We also find that the design has to be free of clutter, use color to help highlight, and effectively use the white space to clearly present the options, interactions, and important content. A participant commented YouTube Music, I think it looks modern, it's clean, it's sleek, and it's very organized. By using effective white space and highlighted color. Next, please. On the opposite, there are designs that may hinder users from finding pivotal information, recognizing interactive content, and disrupt their goals. Those kind of design are detractors. For example, excessive and inconsistent use of varying colors and design patterns may obstruct the users in identifying the important or task-related information they need from the website or app. Number two, distracting banners and irrelevant offers. This may interrupt the users from their goals to coming to the website or app. We have a user commented, Evelyn, I hate this whole pop-up for email. I hate sites that do that. It drives me nuts. It makes me not want to shop there. So as this example shows, distractions and irrelevant offers should be something disrupt the user's goal, maybe avoid using them. Next, please. Next, let's look at another UX dimension, usability. So for usability score, we found it's quite well aligned with the overall UX score. Video, music streaming, and consumer electronics are still very high. we found employment and healthcare. Those are the underperforming sectors. For usability, these sectors are actually doing worse. Their usability score is even lower than their overall UX score. So suggesting that these sectors has to improve their usability. Another interesting thing we found out is that the quick service restaurant in the industry, their usability are more concentrated comparing to the overall UX score. This is suggesting that this sector have using consistent controls, similar controls, making the usability across this sector pretty consistent. Next, please. The essentials for improving usability would be do what users expect. So those controls have to meet user expectation. Do not throw them away when they see them on the website or apps. And another thing, having features that are frictionless and intuitive. One good example is to use the standard and common controls that can help users learn how an app or site works easily. For example, the interaction models people easily recognize, like the hearts for favorite, 5 stars for rating, and the calendar controls for date pickers. So using such kind of standard and common controls can help your users quickly, easily find what they can do on the website. In this case, their experience will be more intuitive and frictionless. So, for example, we have a participant commented Expedia, the heart, clicking the heart to save the hotels she's favorite. So this is one reason that she likes to use Expedia, because this option is very well designed. Next, please. In the study, we found that many users face the difficulty in filtering content. This is consistently found. Users are annoyed when they don't have the filters they want to categorize that makes sense to them. So users, when they come to a website, they have 2 ways to browse. Number 1, browse what do you have. That means the category is important to them because they have to narrow down their options by categories. Or they can search. Unfortunately, we found out that the search feature on many websites are not as good as Google. So users often receive too many options after a search. Without a good filter, they cannot narrow down what to keep rating, keep finding. So this actually frustrated them sometimes to keep using the website. So we think categorize and filters, making sure the categories and the filters match user expectation to narrow down their options on the website are very important. So one industry sector that did this well is the e-commerce marketplace. So in the e-commerce marketplace apps and websites, they often have more accurate and thoroughly designed categories or filters, advanced filters to help users proceed. Amazon is a good example. Next, please. Websites with easy to understand navigation and labeling are perceived as highly usable, as they often allow users to quickly find and comprehend crucial, relevant information. Unfortunately, many websites hinder the user experience with non-priority disruptions. So some examples including the pop-up requests for email addresses, unrelated on-page ads, and irrelevant subscription or account upgrade offers. So those things often hinder user from doing their direct purpose on the website. They don't like it. Another example as a barrier hinder smooth navigation is that the website or app often ask users to register an account or log in to proceed. So very often when users come to your website or app, they just want to browse or quickly browse and check out and then decide the next steps. So forcing login prevent many of them to smoothly using the website or app. An extreme case is AliExpress, the US version. They don't allow users to add anything to the shop cart without a login. So we also have a comment. We also have a quote. Even in the good music streaming industry, we have a participant commented on Apple Music. I can listen to any entire song without paying. Every single page also contains subscription information, so it's always in your face. Next, please. The last dimension we want to discuss is relevance. So if you still remember relevance, among all the UX score dimensions, relevance is the lowest. So as expected, comparisons across the sectors still shows that the streaming industry, consumer electronics have better relevance, and employment, healthcare, and travel are lower. However, on this dimension, we found the music streaming sector shines across all. So though relevance is the lowest dimension rated across all the brand websites, we found out that music streaming actually has a higher relevance comparing to usability. So as you see, if you compare video streaming and music streaming on other dimensions, most often video streaming is higher than music streaming, but on relevance, music streaming is higher than any other industry. Next, please. Relevance, which we defined, gauges how well websites and apps align with user expectation and brand values, is actually often overlooked by businesses focused purely on transactional functions. However, our study verified that it is important for users. Our study emphasizes that relevance is very important because users favored the platforms that meet their expectation and resonate with the brand value. I see me, I see the brand. So well aligned with user expectations and brand values can greatly enhance relevance. Next, please. In terms of enhancing relevance, we found out that personalized experience is a good opportunity because typical user experience shortcomings encompass lack of personalization, which made them difficult in content discovery and made them complexity in understanding the site features and offerings. So since many websites or apps failed to personalize, there is a good opportunity to build engaging personalization. We found out that successful personalization results in curated content and relevant recommendations, enhance the user discovery of new products, trends, and opportunities in their interest. Without that, sites and apps are often perceived ordinary instead of inspiring. So we have a participant commented Spotify that at the beginning, Spotify, I also like you don't have to wait until Spotify puts together a Monday playlist for me, but to have music discovery much more baked into the home screen in the app. Next, please. So on the offset, the detractors about relevance we found was search. Search is a feature that often fails to make a site feel relevant to users. Many websites are lacking predictive search, which is very important because users found out that predictive search, users highly rated predictive search in this study, especially the sites or apps that have large amount of content. Without predictive search, they feel it's much more difficult for them to reach out to where they want. Many users also find it's challenging or ineffective to filter the most fitting search results, leading to doubts about whether this site is what I want, whether this website processes the needed information, product, or content. Websites also often fail in providing the necessary information for users to make a decision or take actions. For example, many websites does not provide delivery options in time to help users figure out what they want quickly. For example, we have a participant commented Gorilla, a grocery delivery shop. I mean, I didn't see how long that delivery would take. So I'd like to know before purchasing or immediately at the start. Therefore, we think enhancing the search feature on your website or app can greatly increase the relevance. Next, please. So now we had an overview and some detailed deep insights about the 3 dimensions of UX score. This page shows us a summary of the key actions, what to do or what don't do to boost design appeal, usability, and relevance. Rule of thumb for design appeal, making your content and presentation consistent, attractive to help users find and understand content on your website, content and actions on your website. So for design appeal, the top industries like music, video streaming, music streaming, and the consumer electronics are doing well. Also, healthcare and travel, though overall they are underperforming, but they had a better design appeal comparing to usability and relevance. For usability, the rule of thumb is to provide easy to find and use controls, intuitive and frictionless features on the website to meet user expectation. So for usability, the good industries are still the top ones: streaming industry, consumer electronics. So healthcare, employment, and travel are needed to improve. They're underperformed on usability. Another one noticed a look would be the quick service restaurants. They have a pretty concentrated usability across the sector. The last one, relevance, rule of thumb would be personalize, relate, resonate, and support decision making. So in terms of regarding relevance, the industries are doing well, extremely well would be music streaming. So that's a quick summary of the key actions based on our benchmark study. Next, I will invite Peter back again to explain more how we can, how your website and app can stack up.
Okay, thanks, Ying. So I'd like to just talk a little bit about how to activate the UX score and what you can do with it. The first thing is it's probably evident through the presentation that there are categories that do well, there are categories that do less well. But regardless of what category you are in, we would suggest that you look at the high performers outside of your category, outside of your direct competition, and borrow and translate elements that they are doing successfully into an experience that makes sense in your particular category. And one bright spot that we've talked a lot about here is the streaming industry. So let's just take a closer look at some of the things that the streaming sites are doing to make their experience more relevant, which, as you saw at the outset, is of the 3 elements, the one area where most every site and most every category falls short. So what are they doing in the streaming sites? First, they're the ability to personalize music preferences. So the app mixes songs and music programming based on habits and ratings. So you're able as a user to personalize your experience based upon your likes and interests, very simply in a way that narrows your experience down to only an experience that you are interested in. That's one takeaway and one lesson to learn about personalization and the power of personalization. Another thing that they do is introducing the users to new music that may be of interest in genres closely related to music they already enjoy. So on the basis of knowing what you like, they recommend options that they think are relevant to you based on those interests that you've already expressed. That's another thing that we might borrow from and when thinking about building an optimum user experience. The third is letting users make decisions faster with more information by providing ratings from other users and curating content based on ratings the user has given prior to content. We found this to be true in lots of different situations, that the ability to help a decision to be made on the basis of information from other purchasers of that same product is hugely important and relevant. So ratings and ratings related to the specific content is an enabler of a positive, relevant, and more relevant experience. Next is the wide variety of genres and artists that are featured, making streaming services feel relevant and inclusive. So just by simply having variety and allowing people to choose among that variety to find something that is more relevant to their interests and needs is a powerful experience enabler also. And then lastly, the ability to share content, playlists, and preferences with friends and foster a sense of community. This is another thing that we've seen both within this work and in some of the other work, is that people like to feel that they are part of a group, part of a community, and they like to see themselves in that community. And the more features that you can build to allow people to both contribute and feel like they are part of something other than their individual experience is also a positive driver. It wouldn't be a presentation about digital experiences if we didn't come back to talk about Amazon. I mean, how many times is Amazon offered up as a best in class? And our data prove that to be true. Absolutely true. The Amazon scored above 95% in all of the UX score dimensions, as well as overall. So they got not only relevance right, but also usability and surprisingly design appeal. But I think that design appeal is simply on the basis of the simplicity and the expectations being met, and providing information in a non-disruptive, simple, pleasing way. So you can see the scores for Amazon across the bottom there. And you know, it's maybe obvious, but there still are lessons to be learned from what they're doing right, particularly if you're in the marketplace category. What you can do from now, this is a slide that contains some of the categories, not all of them, all of the brands within those categories. We'd be happy to engage with you in a conversation if you want to go deeper in any of the categories. And if you're interested in learning more or interested in talking about moving forward, perhaps with another category that we haven't yet selected, then please feel free to reach out. One other thing that comes with a UX score study is the ability to see your ranking quite simply through a tool that we've created where you can enter your UX score and see your place within the entire benchmark database. And the opposite is true. If you want to achieve a certain ranking within the database, you can see what your score would need to be in order to achieve that. A very simple tool that would be available. So then if you were to engage with us on a UX score opportunity, what you would get is a full report based on the analysis of your users' experiences and the rated, as we've shown you, for severity within those three categories of usability, relevance, design appeal, and an overall score. If it's relevant to you, we could also be providing a set of recommendations to address the issues that were revealed in the study. And we could also engage with our colleagues in our design team to create illustrations or wireframes or other expressions of possible ways to solve the design challenge. And this is just one example here. On the left was the before, on the right is the after for a very simple member dashboard. We could apply the same design principles to a possible visualization of a solution for you as well. Just one other thing to mention is, while we've been talking about the UX score, and it was a study based on an experience in a point in time, it's also beneficial, we believe, to measure the experience over time by using intercept surveys, which our colleagues in the Ipsos CX group would be able to enable for you, so that you've got a constant, always-on feedback loop, measuring the KPIs that are important to you, infusing the voice of the customer into your design efforts because it's ongoing, and then obviously managing risk as changes occur by having that always-on monitoring capability. And they can work with you in either passive or proactive ways using leading CXM platforms that would allow you to monitor your performance, identify pain points on an ongoing basis, so that you're always sure to be measuring and monitoring your user experience. And so, to conclude, hopefully we've shown you some things that of interest to you in terms of opportunities for enhancing your own app or website or digital experience. And we're here to help. And let's build an online, the best-in-class online surfing experiences together wherever we can. So that is the conclusion of the presentation. Here are, even though you couldn't see us, there's our pictures, me and Ying, and then I've also included someone from our CX group who'd be happy to speak with you also. So that's it. We'd be happy to answer. I think we've got 5 minutes left. If there are any questions, Ying, is there anything in the question box?
Yep, I just received one. So I'm going to read this number one question. We have another one coming just to come, so I will read them one by one. The first question, you indicated pop-ups as a potential disruptors, but this technique allows you to collect user feedback during their journey on the website, which allows you to improve the user experience. How do you resolve this potential conflict of interest? Would be interested in your viewpoints. Thanks.
Do you want to answer that? You want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think it depends on where it is in the experience. And I mean, obviously, I just referred to survey intercepts as a data collection mechanism in an ongoing measurement fashion. So we wouldn't be saying don't do that. But I think it really depends on where and how often it appears in the experience. What we saw in a lot of the data that we collected was there were excessive use of pop-ups and pop-ups at inappropriate times that cause the distraction. So I think it's important to step back and sort of assess it. If you are going to use pop-ups, make sure that you're using it in the least distractive way and not at a point that is going to be disruptive to that person's experience.
Yep, I would agree with Peter that it's not saying that you should not use pop-ups all the time. Frequency and the form of the pop-ups, the timing you present the pop-ups are important. So those pop-ups has to be well designed instead to not disrupt the user experience on the website. And also it's a good opportunity to personalize. So pop-up, it's not saying a pop-up across all. So some users, you can track their behavior and provide the pop-ups that they might be interested. Okay, we have another question. How much experience does the UX scoring work have with association nonprofit websites?
I don't think that's a category that we've been measuring.
I agree with you. Can we go back to the slide that we showed brands and sectors, Peter? I don't think we specifically tested the nonprofit websites in this study, but our UX group, we have other UX works with nonprofit institutes, organizations before, but in this benchmark study, I don't think we have any brand representing the nonprofit sector.
Yeah, but we'd be happy to talk to you about it if that's of interest.
Yep. Okay, another question. Give me a second. Very interesting presentation. Any input on whether revenue is entered into the scoring index? I don't think we considered revenue, right?
Revenue?
Yeah.
No. And I'm assuming the question means, have we done anything to demonstrate the impact of the experience on revenue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. What we have done is, as I mentioned, is we have correlated it to NPS. We've also correlated it to future intent and purchase intent, but not directly to revenue volume.
Okay, we have one more question. This is a long one. Do you think the product service itself has an impact on the UX score, particularly on the relevance category? For example, is it possible that music streaming sector could be scoring higher on relevance because of the service product itself is more connectable and inherently personal to the user than the services offered in other sectors?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. I mean, there are elements of the streaming experience that are unique to the streaming experience and may not directly translate into something that you could do in your particular website or app. So you're right. I think it's people are going there to be entertained. It's pleasing. It's fun. It's engaging, but I think all those things point to elements that you could steal from, borrow from, understand how to translate as much as you can into your own experience to enhance it. I think it's what we were trying to do is highlight the winners across all the categories and be able to pick and choose those things that are learning opportunities for what could be translated into other experiences, regardless of which category you exist in. And obviously, it might be difficult to be fun and entertaining in a healthcare website, but still take what you can from that experience and try to elevate your experience based on that knowledge.
Yeah, I agree with what Peter just mentioned. You may not only want to look at your industry only. We have many clients in the past few years. So when they come to us, they specifically stated that we want to look at the best in class, not only in our industry, because if you want to shine in your industry, you probably need to learn from some other successful brands, industries to compete with other brands in your sector. So I think that's one of the purpose of this presentation. We want everybody to open mind and look what outside your own sector. And we have the last one. It's not a question, but I want to read it out. I assume we will receive the slides of this very interesting session, as well as the link to the replay to share with colleagues. Thanks. Thank you for bringing this up. Yes, we are going to share out to the slides of this presentation and also the video link of the webinar after later today or early tomorrow, very soon.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you. I think we're out of time. Appreciate you joining us today, and hope you enjoyed it and learned something from it, and we'd be happy to speak to you further.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.